Shaun Gallagher trying out for the Globetrotters. Hey, what do you say about that? I'm done working at TMJ4. I am working for the Globetrotters now. We are done. That got us asking, how long does it take from the time one light turns red for the other direction to turn green? Here at Golden E Dairy Farm, they are dumping 25 to 30,000 gallons of precious milk per day, and they don't know when it'll stop. Three of us met here at the Sauk County Courthouse, a fitting place to have a discussion about implicit bias, because it was here on these steps about 3 years ago where Baraboo made national headlines for all the wrong reasons. In the last year, many facilities transitioned to free video calls in place of in-person visits because of pandemic protocols to limit contact. This is like $1 million game of Tetris as they take gigantic boulders and toss them over the edge of the bluff here in Caledonia. Carroll, Kenosha County Sheriff David Beth tells me they are taking steps to avoid a repeat of the last two nights, including right here. These heavy-duty steel fences were put up in the morning. From January to August of this year, District 5 drew their guns 378 times. Compare that to the two next highest districts, Districts 2 and District 7, where they drew their guns a combined 313 times. But there can be a big disparity there, depending if you're in a one-bedroom apartment or a full-size house where it might take a little longer to answer the door. But just how much of an advantage does a no-knock give police?
There's another one. That first truck, reckless as all head. No plates on that one is either, and quite fast.
Meet Harrison Kern. Wow, that's crazy.
Now, he definitely would have been pulled over, stopped, yanked out of the car. The car is gone.
A retired Milwaukee police officer.
He's getting it in.
44?
Yep.
Would you have pulled him?
Yeah.
He says when he was on the streets from the 80s to the early 2000s, they pulled over drivers like this all the time.
And it's fast enough for me to pay attention to it.
But now he says police are not.
We watched this problem go from bad to epidemic.
In 2017, MPD issued over 70,000 traffic tickets, but last year, 33,000 tickets, a 53% drop over 5 years. Kern says it's so bad now, drivers like this.
This car looks like it's flying. That car's flying.
Wow, 63.
I told you, I can look at it. I told you that car was flying. I can see it all the way down.
Are speeding right past the police station on Fond du Lac Avenue in Sherman Park. So that's more than double the speed limit right outside of District 7.
Correct. In front of the front door. People get accustomed to anything that you allow them to get accustomed to.
What message does that send to drivers when they can see other people driving as erratically as they are directly outside of a police department?
I'm sure it weakens the faith a little bit.
Milwaukee Police Inspector David Feldmeyer admits enforcement has changed over the years. When we see that the numbers are lower, is that indicative of good enforcement?
It is indicative of the enforcement we're doing based on the personnel that we have, the focus that we have as far as the type of violations that we're stopping, on top of trying to balance that with all the other responsibilities that we have in keeping this city safe.
Fewer officers, an uptick in violent crime requiring MPD's attention, and a change in strategy are the reasons for the decrease, according to Feldmeyer.
We have focused more on the more egregious types of driving behavior, so we're not just casting a wide net and just pulling over anything. We're looking for those individuals that are really causing harm to the community through their reckless driving.
Is reckless driving today better than it was 5 years ago across the city?
I guess it depends on who you talk to. I would like to believe that it is, and that we are having an impact.
I haven't heard one person argue that things are safer out here on the street than they were a while ago.
Inspector Feldmeyer says a decrease in total crashes could be proof that MPD's strategy is working. From 2021 to 2022, total crashes are down 12.5%, although deadly crashes are higher now than they were pre-pandemic. Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Shaun Gallagher. The color orange represents warmth, optimism, and for Becky Slater,
I wear orange a lot more than I used to, that's for sure.
it triggers another emotion.
That's kind of our theme colors.
One of sorrow.
I don't want people to ever imagine getting that phone call.
November 22nd, 2022, Becky's only son, Zane Riley, was getting ready for work along Highway 23 in Sauk County. Orange barrels, meant to alert drivers of his presence, did not work.
I knew it was really bad.
The sheriff's department says a 17-year-old hit him in a construction zone. Zane Riley passed away at 25 years old.
People make mistakes driving all the time, and it doesn't cost somebody their life.
The seasons have changed, but the pain is the same.
Makes me sick to my stomach.
July will mark 8 months since she lost Zane, and this year
Sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday.
marks 8 years since Heather Stempa lost her husband Derek in a construction zone crash.
He's been gone longer than we were married. It's crazy.
Derek Stempa was working as a flagger in Shawano County in 2015 when a driver hit him.
This person had to have been going fast enough to cause that much damage. It just did not, I did not think that that was a possibility.
The Wisconsin Department of Transportation says 63 people have been killed in construction zones since 2018. And last year alone, every 4 hours there was a crash in a construction zone.
It was a 77.
Enough to keep State Trooper Brendan Brown busy.
When you're in the construction zone, you really have to focus on speed, that following too close, things like that. Those are the people that we're trying to educate that this is the way you should drive in a construction zone to make sure that everybody's safe. Any idea how fast you're going?
I was going 75.
75.
Do you feel like this is saving lives?
I do. I feel it's making people safer. You just stopping one speeder that's going 80 in the construction zone, educating them either just by talking to them or a citation, that could change their driving behavior in the future, and that could save somebody's life just by education. Watch your speed for me, especially in the construction areas.
A lesson drivers won't learn quickly enough for families like Heather and Becky's. But if law enforcement won't get through to them, they hope their words will.
I just feel like if people just paid attention to what they're doing and consider the fact that those people have families too, and it's not all about you getting to your destination as quick as possible.
There's no reason. You're not in that big a hurry. Leave earlier for work or be late or whatever. Nobody's life is worth it.
The state doubles fines in construction zones, and it's not just for speeding. If you're caught with a handheld device or if you don't move over in those construction zones, law enforcement can pull you over. Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Shaun Gallagher. The number of shots fired in Milwaukee is on the rise. We know that because of technology known as ShotSpotter, a system that detects gunshots using microphones scattered across the city. That information is sent in real time to Milwaukee police. Last year, there were more than 15,000 ShotSpotter alerts, a 29% increase from the year prior.
They take up a lot of time. Many times there's not really anything for us to find.
Inspector David Feldmeyer formerly oversaw District 5, the only district in the city with a ShotSpotter team.
To get there quickly, they want to make sure that the shooting stops and that nobody's getting hurt.
Speed is the goal. The I-Team requested response times to ShotSpotter alerts, and District 5 tops the list, responding nearly 2 minutes faster than the other 2 districts with the most calls.
If there's an assault going on, if there's continuing firing, it stops it quicker. And if there are people hurt, 2 minutes quicker that we can get them aid.
But when the I-Team received this data, there was another story. While District 5 had the fastest response time, it didn't have the most ShotSpotter alerts. That distinction goes to District 3, with nearly 1,000 more ShotSpotter alerts in total. But District 3 does not have a ShotSpotter team. Any plans to try to implement a similar kind of tactic at District 3 that District 5 has?
Not that I know of. It's up to each district commander's discretion to use their personnel in the manner that they see fit. But what we hope is that those other districts, they might implement something similar.
It tells us that black neighborhoods are targeted more than white neighborhoods.
Deontay Robinson works with Block, Black Leaders Organizing Communities. He points to the people inside the district's police patrol. District 5, with the fastest response time, covers part of the city where 3 out of 4 people are black. District 3, with more ShotSpotter calls, is much more diverse. It's roughly half white and a third black. It covers parts of the central city, but also the peninsula of Milwaukee that separates Wauwatosa and West Allis. Robinson says a lone ShotSpotter team reinforces his views on how police treat people of color.
They're trying to say that we want y'all. Basically, we want to lock all y'all up. That's why it's the most incarcerated zip code anyway.
Are you concerned about what that looks like to the department?
We're always concerned of how it looks to the community, the greater community. We're always aware of the demographics of the different areas of the city that we patrol. Try to employ as best we can data-driven approach, showing where the need is, the greatest need for protection.
District 3 has almost 1,000 more ShotSpotter calls. Is District 3 an area that has a greater need for a ShotSpotter team than District 5?
That's going to be up to that district and their analysis of what they find and where they use their personnel.
Inspector Feldmeyer also points out District 3 likely has more calls because it's centrally located. Its officers can respond to Districts 5, 7, and 2 to assist on ShotSpotter calls on the borders of those areas.
We paying a lot of this taxpayer dollars that y'all using just to bring in another system to lock us up even more. So get rid of that, put it back in the community, and let us do the right thing.
Inspector Feldmeyer says they would love to expand the ShotSpotter program, which means they could create more ShotSpotter teams at other districts like they have here at District 5. But whether they can afford that financially is still in question. Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Shaun Gallagher. At the intersection of 35th and Capitol, amid the noisy traffic, Tiana Hicks stands quietly.
I don't try to come over here at all.
A place where in 2017, life and death intersected.
It brings back a lot of memory.
The mother and her 11-month-old daughter were killed. The woman's niece, however, survived the crash.
It's the intersection where police say a man blew a red light, and Tiana's cousin Shaquila and her 11-month-old daughter Aaliyah were killed. The memory seared in her brain.
I remember looking back at Aaliyah and I had said I love you and stuff like that, and then that's all I remember.
Like the ink on her skin.
It's right here. It's a crown, because she was like my daughter. So I was with her every day, and I was real close with her.
Since 2017, 2/3 of traffic deaths in Milwaukee County are people of color.
What's tragic is that's not unusual.
At Smart Growth America, Beth Osborne focuses on how to make streets safer. She says people of color are at a greater risk because of decades of systemic racism. Economics and redlining forced people of color to live in areas at greater risk, areas with higher speeds, fewer safe ways to get around, and less time to advocate for change.
Let's tell our public officials we aren't waiting. They don't get 5 years to fix it. They could make changes with temporary improvement and very low cost improvement, including paint and delineators for tens of thousands of dollars right now, and make that intersection safer. And there's no excuse for them failing to do so.
It just feel like it happened yesterday.
Tiana says it's time for her to talk, to save another family from heartbreak.
I wanted to send out a message for reckless driving.
A message.
Yeah.
That's more like a plea.
Stop being selfish, stop running the lights, slow down. Put the kids in the seatbelt, car seats, booster seats.
From someone who survived. There have been a handful of infrastructure changes at this intersection in the last 5 or so years. Take a look at this satellite image from 2017, just 2 days after Tiana's crash, and compare that to our drone at the same intersection today. You'll see the city has added a bump out and made the traffic islands more pedestrian friendly. Plus, the city has plans for Roosevelt, including restriping and adding protected bike lanes and bump outs there too. But it's an intersection that remains one of the most dangerous in the city, ranking 3rd in total crashes, according to the Milwaukee Police Department. Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Shaun Gallagher.
This whole last year has been a little bit of a blur.
February 2nd, 2021. It was an off day for Lieutenant Kenyette Wooden, but that evening, it all changed.
All of a sudden, he just looked at me and said, "Man, I don't really feel good."
Faith says Yeti started to have a seizure. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but after 45 minutes, he passed away on their living room floor.
My other daughter came down and she just dove her head into his neck and she would not let go, and she just wept and wept and wept.
Time stood still, a procession. The funeral, then back to reality.
None of our bills have changed. The responsibilities, the things that I now need to take care of, those things haven't changed. But yet he's gone.
With him goes a 6-figure lieutenant's salary after 23 years on the job. An extra gut punch because he was just 2 years away from receiving full pension benefits, meaning their household income instantly dropped to near the poverty line.
It's really hard for me to wrap my head around that.
Now, Faith would need to rely on one of the department's death benefits to support her family. The City of Milwaukee pension system has 2 types of death benefits for police officers. Duty death pays out 60% of their final average salary, but ordinary benefits are significantly less. A one-time payout of half your final average salary, plus any contributions paid to the pension system. The ordinary death benefit means a loss of roughly $4,000 a month for the rest of Faith's life.
We're asking the system, and we're looking for the system to be fair.
Wooden family attorney Emil Oviagele says Kenyetti's death should be considered a duty death because he contracted COVID on the job 3 months before he died. The cause of death is listed as heart disease, with a recent COVID-19 infection as a significant contributor, but not the underlying cause. In your eyes, COVID is what led to his death?
Led to his death at 45, yes.
Faith noted how much COVID impacted her husband. It took him nearly 3 weeks to fully recover, but even after, he was never the same.
He would just sit on the couch and just be like, babe, this is really bad. And we were both scared.
The panel of medical advisors for the pension board reviewed Lieutenant Wooden's case and denied the family's request for accidental benefits. Instead, the panel cited his weight at the time of death, chalking it up to his pre-existing health conditions prior to COVID.
I think it's exposed a loophole in the system that we need to get fixed.
Andrew Wagner is president of the police union. He represents the rank and file officers, not supervisors like Lieutenant Wooden. But this issue affects everyone who wears a badge. He says changes will have to come from the state legislature, though there's nothing in the works right now.
Now their concern is, do I make it with my cancer diagnosis at 8 months? And what do I leave my family with if I don't?
We reached out to the retirement system and others involved in the process. They declined interviews, but note there is a supplemental group insurance policy. Faith has been living off that for the last year to keep her family afloat. But she says without Yeti, it won't support their family long term.
It feels very, very unfair. If there's an opportunity to do the right thing, wow, let's do the right thing.
Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Shaun Gallagher.